One, rolling. It's your boy Jedi for Jedi Online, Trinity Live, Red Pill, True Trinity, clicks like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live, and please put the number of your like in the chat, you know, like that. Did I catch you by surprise?
You bloody made me jump.
Yeah. I like doing that, man. Got to center yourself for a minute and just be like, okay, let's go, man. Welcome back, Speakenomix. We don't count the episodes no more. We've got Maverick on the ones and twos, big up, boop, 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 boop. And in the red corner, over to my right, we got a new special guest, not been on the show. It's your debut. Introduce yourself, sis.
I'm Emotional.
Big up Motional, man. Big up Motional. And tell them something about you, anything.
Yeah, I've got a platform, a building platform, Transparency with Fire. I'm just very transparent, respectfully. So, yeah, just say it as it is and, yeah, just open.
Welcome, man. And on my left, we have...
Rap Raven, that's right, representing Black Betterment. That's what we're here for.
Here with the shocking statements.
I'll give you fair warning before the shock comes, so not to worry.
Black Betterment's ambassador is in the building. And last but not least, we have...
Jupiter.
Tell us something about you, Jupiter, that people might want to know. Or
I think they know about everything there is to know, really, because I'm just an open book. I've got lots of opinions, some of them controversial. I've got insights that many agree with and then others don't agree. I've got quite dividing opinions on some things, although I'm actually easy to get along with.
Yeah, I mean, I first met you at Speaker's Corner, Hyde Park. I was giving it the big and something to do with, what was we talking about? I don't even know.
It's probably about Black Love or something.
No, do you know what? It wasn't Black Love.
It was about gang, kind of.
It was about gang.
It's always going to be about gang. But
it was something specific. Was Danny Tomo there yet, or he came after?
No, he came after.
Something, and then Dupes just rolled up. This woman just rolled up, and I was like, hey, and she was like, yeah.
He weren't impressed.
You lot in gang, da-da-da, and I was like, what? What are you talking about? And I could see Uncle Hector next to her. I'm like, I was bare confused, like, what's going on? What's this white chick talking about? It's like, yeah, you lot, why don't you want... I can't remember what you said. Basically, I think you was under the impression that...
One community,
we was like, basically didn't care about the white community and was just focused on the black community, and that was the issue.
Well, let them know what gang is, because somebody...
gang was an organisation as part of Guides in a New Generation, where a few independent men came together and decided that they was going to assist in highlighting and coming up with solutions for the spate of youth violence that was going on in the community. Majority focused around the black youth and trying to find solutions, you know. And what we did, we end up going around different areas doing community outreach, speaking to neighbours, getting them to come out, give their testimonies. And basically my side of it, what I wanted to push was the fact that communities need to stop looking for outside help for their issues and realise that they have all the solutions and the power to solve their issues within themselves. So that was kind of the ethos from my perspective. And yeah, man, it gained a lot of attention. But
that's what I mean. That's when we started probably working together.
Yeah.
And I think for me, just to give the people clarity, I go around looking for black institutions to help out to do constructive work. Now, gang wasn't necessarily it was for road culture and stuff, and youth who might have gone astray or needs a second outlet or something like that, right? But for me, my area of interest would be helping black people. And I guess that's where you probably saw visually that the majority of people were black, or talking about black issues, and you probably felt a way about that particular thing, right?
I think the thing is, at the time, it came across to antagonistic. Whilst I understand some of what you were trying to do now, back then, it especially, I think this is where the interracial marriage kicks in.
Right.
Yeah, because I treat all my kids equal because I've been married before. So I've got white kids, mixed kids, right?
Yes.
They're all the same to me.
So you're currently in a mixed race relationship, interracial relationship,
Yes. And so I couldn't understand why you needed to segregate to solve the problem when I live in a part of South London where I know gangs were quite rife. You know, some of the areas around where I live would be the Cherry Orchard Boys, Thamesmead, Woolwich, the Barnfield Estate, another lot. You know, they're all, and they're all still going today. These gangs, and I knew that there was white kids involved as well, and I was like, but you're not going to solve the problem if you don't solve it for all of them.
I mean, there's overlapping issues of why people might do violence or join gangs or whatever they might do, right? But there is also a historical and cultural and racial element to why some people might join gangs, and
Such as?
Well, the thing is it could be like through how someone is raised in their history, right? So if just for example, if you're a black person, right?
Yeah.
If you have low self-esteem and you don't see any kind of like icons or anything that you can really aspire to be, or the people you see are actually problematic, or how we might define as problematic, right? These particular things can actually could be a contributing factor of why you might join a gang. It's a multifaceted, right?
But I would say that that's exactly the same for white children.
Maybe, but that's where we would probably differ, because like I suspect today we're gonna get, I could be wrong, we're gonna give you some examples of how it feels to be within the black community, and you might disagree. And I think we go through years of saying things like, here's how we see things, or here's how things are presented. And if another group is constantly telling us why I disagree, and also, unfortunately, that group historically at some point was maybe part of the process of why this group is going through it, then it might be better as use of resources and time to actually focus on that group that understands our own plight, rather than try to explain to the people who might be causing the plight, that plight.
But you see, for somebody like me that looks and says, right, I don't like racism towards anybody, right?
Yes.
To me, what you're doing is giving a racial issue, right, to why there's a difference. But if a white person was to say that, you'd castigate them.
Well, and people can jump in when they want, and I'll say that for black people are not practicing racism; we're reacting to racism, and it's very different.
So blacks can't be racist.
So it's no, as in you can have bigotry, but if we realize that our people haven't recovered from being conquered by your people, right? So historically, right? It is natural for people to want to recover from that. And if that means, if we recognize that our children killing each other isn't normal, it isn't something that people should be doing, and it comes from disorganization. So if we try to get organized to recover from being conquered by your people, then I don't know why that would cause...
But I think that's an excuse, and I know that... Look, I understand that historically black people have suffered, right? And I understand that you could even argue to a certain extent that racism is still going on. The racism will never ever be eradicated from any group, right? Completely, 100%. It never ever will, because everyone's got a slight bias, right? But it's whether you act on that racism and whether it actually turns into a hatred, right? Because most people prefer the way that they are raised or grown up, the food that they eat, you know, their mother's cooking, you know, the way you wash up, for example. You could go to someone's house and they use a dishcloth, somebody else doesn't use a dishcloth in their house. They believe that
White people don't use flannels.
Oh yeah, we had a big row over that, didn't we?
Beef over that, man.
I actually went and got an article as well. Yeah.
Do they use flannels?
This one's for the stolen voices, my people that ain't got much traces. Trapped in the belly of the beast, everywhere is beef and there's never ever peace. Every day is peak and I never get to speak. Living in the Elmos, never get to see. Sitting in a cell, feeling like you're never gonna leave, but you can't sleep cause you got beef with the brother underneath in the bunk bed. The truth in my speech is abundant. I don't need a reason to keep it 100. The government declared a war on the man. So this ain't a song, it's a glorious anthem to rep for the group that is normally abandoned. The poor is ignored when they're stranded. From Lagos to Kingston, Newry to Camden, against all odds, of course we are champions. I'm the voice of Trayvon, I'm the voice of Stephen Lawrence, I'm the voice of Tupac, with no fuck life engraved on my stomach. I'm the voice of a runaway slave, holding a blade and facing a musket. Been a victim of the system too long, we get tired of waiting for justice. The voice of Fred Hampton Sr., killed for defending the people and the right to exercise freedom of speech. We just want to be treated as equal. I'm the voice of the mums and the ones that pray for unity in the community. I'm the voice of the young trying to escape the slum, but they can't find the opportunity.
So much to say, but not enough. We hear the cries calling from the skies above, saying it's okay, speak your mind, open your heart, don't let no one add you to understand.
I know. Anyway, let me not do that. How long ago was this Speaker's Corner?
So the gang.
How was the
You're
when was the gang?
within 10 to 8 years ago, maybe.
Okay. So I don't think that matters, but it's just out of curiosity. But when you asked Raven that question, I was actually wanting to hear your answer as well, because I was thinking, okay, yeah, because I grew up in Stonebridge and is largely, black and white, and gang culture is multi-racial and everything. But then when Raven answered the question, I said, yeah, had a kind of, dull moment. Because what you're saying is, although you say you don't understand it, I can only go from my experience and what I see others experience. Now, if you look on TV, and even back then, what are you seeing as a representation of yourself? Now, you will see the white boys, they will have the white stars, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, the footballer, what's his name? Oh, sorry, Beckham. Beckham, Bend It Like Beckham. You had shows after them. It's large. It's large. I'm not saying there ain't positive black, but it's rare. It's very rare. We see rappers talking about, do you know what I mean, violence on the street. The videos are of violence. The movies that we play in is all ratchet. It's about gang violence. It's about, do you get what I mean? There's always a negative aspect. And when the white boys are watching, or do you know what I mean, watching TV, they're seeing a lot of people that people idolize, or in fancy houses and on holiday. Do you understand? So that's what I'm getting.
No, I get it.
So that's where I'm thinking it might be.
Again, I understand what you're saying, but so in the last 10 years, we've seen that be reversed, and it hasn't improved nothing. In fact, it's probably made and empowered the wrong sort of people.
Where do you see it reversed? So what capacity?
So adverts are full of black people, they're full of ethnic minorities. They've even had actresses playing traditional white characters, like one of the Queens of England.
The Littlest Mermaid.
They've started doing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs with somebody that's
But you know what you're saying is, as a black girl, I'm hearing, you're giving us roles that you lot made for yourself.
No, you've argued for them.
No, whenever we've argued, we're getting given roles of perceptions made for white people. Where's our roles for our own perception? Why don't we
Don't we create our own roles, and then we get a camera, we get directorship, we get sponsored by Netflix or whatever, and we create a Top Boy, or we create.
But what is Top Boy representing? What are you seeing on Top Boy? That's what you're saying.
I agree with you, but I also think we personally,
of course, and we
are
need to
perpetuating that.
Yeah.
We have to take responsibility in that as well.
But what Raven was saying is what we were seeing. So I don't want to move away from what we're actually saying, because I'm just going on what they were saying. Raven is saying what the
visual representation,
what the young boys in the gangs were seeing, the black boys were seeing. They're seeing, when we watch TV, we're seeing negative stuff. When the white boys kids are watching TV, they're seeing positive stuff. It's not about, we're not on TV. Yeah, we're on TV, but what is it showing?
Here's what it is, right? And this isn't too shocking. It's fine.
Sorry, Raven. One.
Go ahead, sister. You go ahead.
Let me give you an example. I have to do this. Adolescence. Yeah.
Yes.
Adolescence made it about a white family doing wrong, and it got stick about racism. Why is it a white family? But for years we've been doing films and seeing films about the black family doing wrong and all that stuff. One white family that's gone viral.
Because it was based on a factual story that wasn't a white kid.
It doesn't.
What was that factual story? The latest
I can't remember, but I know that's what the argument was.
Well, it was the character's
It was the
name
girl.
the same?
Do you remember the girl that got stabbed? I think it was in Croydon.
The Croydon thing.
So, but is the
over the teddy bear.
There's inspiration and actually like an
based
adaptation,
on that's
right?
different.
Yeah.
But Raven, don't you think that it would have been better to actually take that factual story?
No, not at all.
Own it. And do a poignant story to make people understand the effects and the after effects.
What you're doing is very important, and it's showing me why we talk about this. Who was in charge of Netflix to actually co-sign that? Was it black people or white people?
I have no clue,
It was white people. So you have to go talk to your people about why they're doing that. But what we're doing, we're going to try to build industries to make films that reflect certain things, a balanced representation, right?
Yeah, but then why agree to take their acting parts if you're against it?
So
But it was the white people that was against it.
I can and not only
I'm talking about the
right. That's a good
black
point.
roles.
Because and what I'm going to say is very shocking. I'm sorry to say this, and I will start this way, right? Unfortunately, black people are collectively inadequate, all right? and black men
God.
haven't recovered. No, let me say this because it goes somewhere. Black men haven't recovered from being conquered by white men. So what happens is, we don't have a sufficient industry that black people can go to. That means we have to go to.
I disagree.
Well,
You could go to Nollywood.
Nollywood.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well,
go and learn from them.
Yeah.
Make yourself famous,
Right.
and then be known over here, just like the Afrobeats have done.
Here's what it is. If you're based in the UK or America or Canada, I recommend we should go to Nigeria, but actually we go to where you live, there's infrastructure to support you. So telling actors to go and learn Yoruba or go to Nigeria, wherever it is,
You don't have to. No, hold on, because English is the national language for Nigeria.
That's
so
an
you
interesting
don't
point
need
as
to
well.
have a dialect.
Yeah, but I'm saying that wherever you're based, you should like, because Europeans, when they go to Spain, Kenya, they set up institutions to make sure that, well, they sometimes used to take everything usually, but they make sure that they can sustain.
Yeah, but there's plenty
life.
of Nigerians that would be willing to actually, and rich as well, making a lot of money off it to get a foothold in England.
So let me agree with you and say, actually, that's why we need separation to actually, we need to have the Nigerians here, the Caribbeans here, the Americans, the Nigerians over there, actually have a code of conduct where we value that concept. So that way we don't have to go to Europeans and Netflix and do shows about whatever it's about. We can actually just create our own shows. So that's what we're trying, but we have to do it in isolation, because if other people groups are there, they're going to interject their agendas as they always do. So even when you're saying,
Yeah, but I
this
know
is a very
I
good
agree
point.
with- I agree
Almost
with
is a
what
very
you're
good point,
saying
and
there.
It's very shocking about this. It's very shocking. Very shocking. What it is you were giving examples that you're now seeing more black people on TV. This is fantastic, right? But I'm saying because Europeans are controlling it, what they might give you, and this is the shocking part, they might give you a wealth of a black man with a white woman on the McDonald's adverts, so the Boots adverts, and it's like that's very nice, I guess, but that isn't like a representation of a black family.
Yeah, but I
and
think
the ratio doesn't match
that's
that.
I agree with you on that, but I think that's more down to tick all the boxes,
No,
right?
I understand.
Right, the DEI boxes, so they need to have a white
DEI, what's that?
diversity,
equity, inclusion.
Yeah, right. So basically, what they're going to do is they're going to say, right, we need one white actor, we need one brown
Yeah,
actor,
gay actor,
one
and then
one
you've
black
got a black
actor.
gay
So
man in
what
a
we'll do
wheelchair.
is we'll have a mixed race family, covers the brown guy, covers the right. This
I'll be
that's
the man
how,
in the wheelchair.
but the thing is, every single outlet is doing it.
Yes.
So now what's happened is there's black people sitting there going, well, where's the black family? And there's white people sitting there going, well, where's the white family?
Yeah.
Right? And then there's interracial couples that are less than 2% of this country, by the way.
Yes.
People don't even realise that,
Do you
right?
think do you not think they're overrepresented?
Yes, and I think at the same time it gives a false impression that we're taking over.
Yeah, that all the swirlers are taking over,
Yeah,
and no one's sticking
yeah.
with their own. Do you not think that
there's
that's being pushed a bit?
There's semi-truth there,
Yeah.
as in like it's not going to be as much as they're showing, but in the black community, especially Caribbean communities, we do see a height in black men picking.
Yeah, that's true,
White
the
women,
Caribbean.
right?
Yeah.
Why would you say that is?
Well-
Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
And well, the shocking thing is because black men haven't recovered from being conquered by white men. But to streamline it, it's because we haven't got a kind of like cultural sense of pride or any kind of infrastructure in place where being with a black woman and building and having generational wealth is valued. So what is it? It's a me versus a we scenario. So unfortunately, there might be obviously people love people who they want to love, whatever, right? But there's also going to be the angle where someone is with someone for a house. Someone's with someone because of how it makes them feel. Someone's with someone because they don't like how they look.
There's plenty of black women and black men that are with women for money.
Well,
But staying within their own colour
but
code.
the thing is,
that's just
So-
ridiculous.
so-
to say that people marry white women for money or white men for money, yeah, you get it, but that happens in right across the board.
yeah. So the area of interest.
I mean, we see it. Come on.
Oh yeah, Europeans going to Thailand, this kind of stuff. I know. But what I'm saying is, what,
Europeans going to Thailand. That's just another stereotype, and that is
I've been to Thailand.
disgusting.
I've been there. But what I'm saying is, it's as Europeans.
No, I know they go, but
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
saying that that's not the majority of people,
No,
is it?
no. But
So-
you were giving an example of the what you
That's just
mentioned.
a racial trope.
Well, that's something you have to work on. But what I would
No,
say.
it's like you have to work.
well, no,
on.
I don't go to Thailand to find.
You're the one who inherently thinks it.
No. I'm promoting black love, so I'm not going to go to Thailand to find a wife or whatever it is, right? That's the issue between white men and white women. Why they're going to Thailand to find a
Well, I
wife?
don't think they're
Oh,
going there
to get the Thai bride. and
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
Yeah, but that's not a black woman, is it?
No, yes, that's your. I can't speak on that issue. You have to tell me. I can't tell you. Right, but what I would say is.
Would you consider a Thai woman a black woman?
No, I'm black.
No,
Thank you.
But I'm saying that's a white issue. It's got nothing to do with black people. We're not going to Thailand to find Thai wives.
And I think that's where I don't want to change the subject. Is where you can say that that's your issue. We can't speak on that. But there's a lot of outside of black people ready to speak on our issues.
Of course. Yes.
Just like with the gang, you saying, oh, you don't think it's right because blah blah blah. There's white people, but the white children is for you lot to, just like you said with the rightly so. You're saying, why don't we do our own movies and do our own thing, like promote that. But then with the gang thing, is you're saying, because I listen to contradictions. You're saying like what about the white children? But then that's for the white people to, because you best know how to navigate that. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the black families will know how to navigate because they will know their issues. So it's like...
The reason why is because, when it comes to going into the movie industry or those particular industries, right, I can see the benefit for black betterment or black people actually wanting their own staff and to move up and actually to cause less friction with people with the resistance from the white community. But when it comes to actual something that's societal, that we're all suffering, especially if you're at the bottom of the ladder to do with the class system, then we need to assist each other. So all this stuff is not just so easily black and white.
I was going to say, do you think it's easy for, because you said it as well, Jeddah, we need to, do you think it's easy for black people to just, we're going to set up this and we're going to push? Because I'm just saying, as soon as any little whisper, like Noah Clark, who was doing a lot for the black community, it easily gets shut down. It does easily get shut down. It easily gets
not in 2025.
I just think that
you've given an example of Noah Clark, right? And I hear what you're saying, but Noah Clark is that, there's like 1 degree of separation between me and him. We got a lot of mutual friends or whatever. I can't say that Noah Clark has specifically gone out there to put the black community on or to represent the black community. To be honest, if we look at his body of work, he's kind of fallen into what we've spoken about with the kidulthood, adulthood.
No,
whatever.
I agree, but I'm not talking about his work. I'm saying getting to that level to be able to have things showcast. And then now that you say that, why is it that that's the things that's being shown? He's putting that out, and that's what the country's pushing. Do you understand? Because I'm sure there's lots of people that want to be directors and writing and all of that stuff and don't get pushed, don't get pulled to the top. It's just like the rappers. They say, if you're doing grime and everything, you're easily up there. But I know a lot of black brothers that have beautiful voices and can sing and everything. That's not pushed. You're not seeing no Jodeci's come out from the UK and all of that. That's not pushed. You're not getting to the top. I see a lot of, what's his name that lives around the corner from here? He was singing with Amy Winehouse. And there's another one that he just done a big show. I can't remember. He was on. He sang a.
You're talking about that Angel guy.
No, Angel. Maybe.
But that's because
there's others that have beautiful voices. I remember the names by the end of the day. But there's other black men that have beautiful voices and everything. That's not pushed. You're not seeing them in the charts or anything. This country pushes.
Yeah, but that's because of the
violence.
bigger agenda. That's not because of racism.
I didn't say it was because of racism. I was saying how easy is it, that black people, who want to do something positive for their people get pushed to the top. It's very easy for a white person in this country to be just, I want to do this and boom, they're there, boof.
No, that's not true.
Do you agree with that?
No.
I think it is.
Well, I would use the term, there's more opportunity, it's easier. Right? When it comes to
I disagree.
Well, I'm glad you disagree because that's why the separation we promote. But go ahead.
Okay. So in 2025, I think that if you were to go to any institution and try to promote yourself as somebody that comes from the LGBTQ or any of the woke agendas, you're likely to get funding because that is what is trending. That is what the government is pushing. That is what the one world order, if you want to call it that, globalism is pushing.
I have to agree with you on that.
And so I would say that
I think it's moved away from what we're talking about, though. But okay.
The thing is, when you start doing the LGBT and the black and that, that is superseded by LGBT. So you will find a bisexual.
Yes, they
woman.
use it. They use the black community.
I think black people are the best people to use for anything, and history has shown that. And black people are used to get a foot in the door.
I would agree with you.
And usually white women or white men can do what they need to do. The truth is, white men and white people.
Elite men.
But it still benefits white society as a whole. And don't be wrong, we understand there's poor white people.
Okay, how? Tell me how it benefits the average white working class family to have black people promoted all the time, to be demoralised about their heritage, to be told that they can't be proud to be white, that they've got to take on the sins of their fathers from 200 years ago. Tell me how that benefits them then.
So that's a good question. So what it is it's understanding how you could inherit something that your forefathers did, and acknowledging it. That could be the start of true peace, as in like, because we acknowledge that our country or our place or our generational wealth has come from a history of pillaging.
They have acknowledged it, and that is why they're so tolerant.
No, this is what they say. There's a saying I'm gonna butcher the quote, but it's like there's no peace before justice, and there's no peace and equality before justice. Meaning, Tom and Jerry are having a fight. You walk into the room, you want Tom and Jerry to stop fighting. But you can't just say, all right, look, everyone just stop, and that's it. We're going to have to look into why they're fighting and try and remedy what happened. So offer solutions to patch that. So let's say there's been historical things going on between the Europeans and the Africans, yeah? And some of those exchanges leave reverberating consequences that are playing out to today. And just to say simply, let's just all wipe the slate clean and look, let's all hold hands, doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes it's going to be like, okay, you South Africans are going to have to sort out what's happened with land and blah, blah, blah. We're going to have to get into it. We're going to have to maybe find some reparations, some schemes to give everyone their rightful ownership back and blah, blah, blah. We can't just paper over it and be like, all right, we're all good now.
No,
that was in the
you.
past.
But
I feel like a lot of the time, when we deal with some of these historical things, we forget that there's actually massive corporations that still to this day have got a stronghold based on what they done. And I know, being brought up in England, being born in Britain, I know there's a thing called handling stolen goods. And I also know that if I know that my dad stole that gold bar, and I've still got that gold bar, and I can take out loans based on it or whatever, then I am handling stolen goods, and it needs to be addressed. It can't just be papered over. That's my opinion.
And a round of applause for that. I was just to say something shocking before you say your shocking stuff. It's important.
My shocking stuff.
He's just decided
this
to
is
be shocking.
I'm shocking. You're not.
I'm fine over
She's
here.
not shocked. She's not shocked.
She's
She
just
will.
shocked.
She will. She's shocked.
So it's important, and I would like to use this conversation as a case study to it, that collectively black people have no friends. And that's very important for black people to understand. Because when you understand that truth, then you realize why it's important to have black institutions. Because you will have a white paradigm of how you see things, right? And even the fact that you say woke, that already shows me the history of what's happened. Woke was a word historically used for black people to say you're aware of injustice and you're going to...
Yeah, we're not woke. We're awake. White people are awake. We're not woke.
Yeah. But what I'm
we
saying,
don't want nothing to do with that woke nonsense.
I'm glad you said it. Remember, collectively have no friends. The reason I say is because now it's been rebranded to be a LGBT inclusive black woman in a wheelchair concept that white men can demonize, or white community can demonize. Like, oh, woke, that's
that
now
woke shit.
Woke, right? And that's the strategy of white people, or maybe white supremacists, depending on who's doing it, being able to just marginalize and minimize something that once had a important message for black people.
So you think black people have no friends?
Collectively.
I don't agree with that. I think that's a British black person's mindset.
Well, I think.
So who would you see? Who would you see as the friends? Who would you see as the friends of black people? You can go through it. Who
collectively?
Do black people have friends?
I don't think we're even nice to each other for us to be talking about if we have friends. And I don't think we have friends.
Thank you, sister. This is 10
I don't think we have friends. I think we're horrible to each other. And the thing is, like, so like, not to go off the subject.
You can.
Like Jedi, but I put my stuff out there, yeah, to explain that, you get me, like we can do bad, but we can do badness to each other, but understand we're all coming from some sort of pain. So give each other grace. You know what I'm talking about, innit? When I put my story out there of me and my partner and all that stuff, we're still together.
Give them an example.
So basically, I am in a relationship with my partner. We have 4 kids together, 3 sort of thing. I've gone through, I've gone through life and I explained to you, I had a rough childhood where I went into care and stuff. And I've got 5, but with him, 3 biological, but he doesn't like me saying that. He takes all of them full.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was with me from when she was a baby.
Yes.
Okay.
I've put it out there. I've explained, the things he did to me in us getting together. Little things, it's little things compared to some of the stuff that does go on. The infidelity, the cheating, the lies, all of this stuff, and the breaking up and the getting
both
back.
sides.
No, he did it. I'm not about
cheated.
that life.
Right.
No, I didn't cheat with him. No, you're talking about when I was in my 20s, about 21 years
The
old.
holiday cheating.
Yeah, 21 years old. I'm 40 years old now. Let's get this
We
straight.
say they move past that.
Let's get this straight. Yeah.
That cheating was in the past.
And it wasn't
So you
cheating
put
like
that all out for everybody?
Yeah, I put it all out, and I
Spoke
was
about
saying, and then I did another podcast, and I was saying the reason why, because we did split up. People think, I stayed through all everything. No, when I found out each time we broke up and all this stuff, and he came back and he explained stuff to me, and I saw, and you learn more about each other, if you understand, because no matter with how long you're with somebody, it's up to them to let you know about them. So I'm explaining to people, that I'm sympathetic, because now I understand him. Like, I only understand me. I understand what hurts me. Now I understand what hurts him. I understand where his background comes from. I understand what makes sense in his head. So to do that, to keep families together, and black families, you need to stop having such dash the man away, the man's an idiot, you're a yaman, and all of this kind of talk where we're just separating our black families and talking about, this is why we should go over there, no offense, and this is why we should go over there. Kind of understand each other, because we've all come from hard places. I've come from a hard place, so I can understand another person that's come from a hard place. We might not have the same mind frame, and your hardness, multiple.
Oh my God.
Multiple. Not that I found out about multiple.
So
I found out.
you think it's beneficial to hold a marriage together with multiple cheating?
No, I don't think it's beneficial to hold a marriage together with multiple cheating. I think it's beneficial to understand your partner and help them through it when you find out. Does that make sense?
I understand.
Okay.
I understand. I'm just trying to give you a microphone.
And the way we got together was not conventional with, do you get what I mean? The way I went about
You
it.
was with child and leaving an old relationship. Was it that type of thing?
No, it wasn't. It was, I tried something different. I tried a dating site.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So that was, for me,
We
that's
thought
not...
she was meant something
Oh
scandalous.
no, but for me, do you understand? That might be normal that wasn't normal for me. So I tried something different. Do you get what I mean? I ignored little things and heard little things where he was talking about he's working all the time. And he's talking about mortgages. So different things that I ignored that I have to take accountability for. He has to take accountability for his own crap, because I was at a podcast the other day and I really loved what Raspek said. He said, you can't tell somebody else to take accountability. They have to take accountability for their own stuff. Everyone talking about, you should take accountability. That shouldn't be happening. I can only take accountability for my part, my place, my naivety and stuff like that. But as we got through, so when I was doing little things, I did little things to him, not about cheating, but money-wise, with child maintenance and stuff like that, which would rip him apart. Wouldn't rip me apart if it did to me, but that's what I'm saying. You have to understand your differences. What I will find offence in, you might not find offence in. Do you get what I mean? And vice versa. So you have to kind of understand each other. And what I got was from the black, because I don't want to go too much into it, what I got from the black community was, you're an idiot. Dash Ray the man. He's never going to change. But knowing myself, I left and he's come back and he's told me certain things. He's let me deeper in and all of this stuff, because it was 3 times mainly. It was 3 times. And and when I say multiple, as I found out about multiple women
Has he
within
changed?
those, 100% change. And I'm not going to put out his business. I can put out mine to explain how he's changed, like physically, emotionally, getting help, all of this stuff. Literally, even his family's like, okay, do you get what I mean? And he's even saying, like, I can't believe I behaved like that. Now, what I want everybody to understand, I could have left him. And the next man I get with, who's not the father of my children,
done
and
the same
again,
thing.
and all that stuff, could have done worse,
and
because
you're
I've
back
been
to-
in
yeah.
worse
And then you're back to
situations, do you
square one,
understand? And then, do you understand?
I respect that.
And do you get what I mean? And then he's going to do something, and you're not trying to help. You're not trying to help each other.
Round of applause to the
Do
sister
you get what I
for
mean?
bringing that out. Thanks for sharing
So
that. And
I don't remember why I said that.
No,
but
but
yeah,
basically talking about the
about
black
friends.
reaction and not having friends in the black
Yeah,
community.
and it's
Amongst each
like
other.
that, and unless you're in it, do you get what I mean? It's very quick, because when I was on Debate Corner the other day, they asked if women give each other bad advice, and I said everyone gives each other bad advice when it comes to relationship. The thing that is pushed on the internet now is single motherhood. Yeah. You know, leave him.
I think it's mainly
don't
women that
forgive,
give bad advice
all
when
of
it
that.
comes to
No,
relationships.
come on, and then you
Yeah.
got, because you have got the men. You've got the black men putting the black women down about single mothers and your worth ain't nothing. if you've had a child.
I've never heard
don't-
a
you-
man say to his friend, "Leave your wife over that,"
no.
or "Rah, you
Do you know
deserve.
what?
You shouldn't be with her." Men always come from a more sympathetic thing, like, "Rah, is that what happened? Like, that's deep." Bro.
Don't tell her. Hide it. Don't let her know. Don't let her know.
I don't even think that's bad advice to sometimes not to let your
draw
woman know.
that thing.
I
Draw that thing.
think there's
I don't think it's
within black men and women, there's different
Yeah,
challenges, right?
yeah.
And it's brought us to a very important thing that you said there. And I think for us, recognizing that both of you and your partner have gone through certain traumas, and one of the roles that we're doing is why we want to separate and work on our own institutions, is how to actually make you not go through that. Give you a self of community pride. See, you value black women, you value black families, you value generational wealth, you value recovering from being conquered from a people group, right? When these become your values, then you actually now have more of a purpose in what you're doing, you see? But right now, men might just have kids because they enjoy intimacy, right? Rather than seeing it as part of their dynasty.
What
or
about the
part of
women who
process.
use it as an engagement ring?
What do you mean? As
Getting
in-
pregnant.
Yeah.
Well, once again, when we're trying to fix
Trapping a man.
Yeah, when
Giving them no choice.
so we can always
I
describe
think
many
that goes both
horrible
ways,
things.
though.
We can,
But we'll go back to that,
We
yeah.
can describe many terrible things, but what we're trying, I've just said that black people are collectively inadequate, and black men haven't recovered from being conquered by white men. So that means if that is correct, what is to be done about it? Separation and rebuilding but you can join the greater community. So what I'm saying is, everything we're saying seems to be from a place of pain. So how do we reverse that? And I'm saying that black pride, black love, black betterment, right? Where when you're with a black woman, you actually value her. Now, what we should go down is of the difference between black men and black women, is how we are viewing things, right? Because you said something, and didn't agree. Black men like this, black men like that, and that's I'm going to come in to try to be more mutual and say that unfortunately, I have seen black men drop the ball, and we mentioned about. And this is where we could probably figure you into it, where most of the Caribbean community are actually marrying out at a higher rate, and it goes up, goes up. Now,
What's the statistics on
Yeah,
that?
I can't
last
answer that.
time I
'cause
checked, they said it was around 50%, right? Which is
50%
quite,
of Caribbean men
I think it's higher than that.
Might
now.
be- it might be, yeah.
get in a relationship with non-Caribbeans
Yeah.
or non-black.
non-black,
I
right?
don't know.
In
I
Britain,
don't know.
in
I
Britain,
don't know.
it's high.
Definitely. I
It's
believe.
high.
You know what? Even just, I
don't
don't want to
agree.
personalize it, because
I
I
don't
know
agree.
last.
But that's
your
the
last
man
episode
response.
it
That's the
was-
man response I'm talking
Look
about.
up the statistics. It's high.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm saying, but
Statistics?
no, forget
Maverick.
the statistics,
Okay.
right? Forget.
Yeah.
I'm saying when you walk down the street, what are you seeing more of a coupling when you're looking at nationalities or cultures or
I see a
races?
mix, bro.
Yeah, me too.
I'm letting you know. I'm letting you know
I
that.
see a big
I'm letting you know
mix.
that I personally seen black men at a higher rate than I've seen anything else. Right?
And the thing is, with that scenario, what I would say is, often if you're walking down the street and you're looking at families, what we're forgetting is a lot of the black men are at work.
Here's what it is.
Yeah, or a lot of the black
What
men
you're
are
doing-
at work,
what you're doing is
or
good.
they have a cultural thing
Hold on,
where, listen,
yeah.
because in black men,
Yeah.
we're dealing with the Somali, the East African community, the African community, the Caribbean community. A lot of them have different cultural things where women and kids often go out on their own and men go out and our men are in groups. You don't know who's together, who's in a family. If you're just looking at who's walking together, some black men don't have the luxury of walking together. We're going there because they're at work. They
Forget
got
walking,
things, they're resting from that shift.
but
Do you know what I mean? So don't assume
we-
that
So
this
do you
woman.
account
Don't assume
in-
this woman's a single mum. Is what I'm
I
saying.
don't
huh?
agree.
Right.
Do you know why?
I mean-
Because
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
sorry, recently, my partner's moved from East London down to here. Now we know over here is multicultural, and he's saying he's seen like the most, black culture here. Do you get what that he's ever seen? And
Yeah.
we're big people, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But even over here, I'll carry, like my mum is one of 7.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the only one with pure black children.
Okay.
The only one. So for my experience is, I'm not being funny, like most of my family is multi-race, do you know what I mean?
Different races.
Yeah, mixed race and stuff. I see a lot of that. And I do think that for different reasons, and I do hear what men say, and I've heard reasons of, the sisters are too harsh on us. Sorry, white women are easy. This is what I'm just hearing. I'm saying they say that white women are easy.
That's
you give
not
us
true,
headache.
though.
I'm just saying what I've heard from black, because I don't date women, so I don't know. So I can only go from what I hear men say. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And do you get what I mean? And there's the few people say it's a lot. There's a few that's talking about they want the.
I think the same
skin
black
colour.
men that are telling the white women that the black women are harsh are telling the black women that the white women are easy.
It might
the
be
spitting
that.
game.
It might be
The
that.
Spitting game is one
Spitting
thing,
game.
but what I'm saying is, I want to home in on your reaction, because your
Yeah.
reaction, I've been with you to many places
Yeah.
where I ask black women in the crowd, I
Yeah.
say, how many of you women feel that you're the primary choice of black men and you're provided protected, right?
Yeah.
And I get the same response everywhere I go.
Yeah, they've been
for years.
programmed into this insecure mindset that black men don't want them, and I think it's a programming
but you might-
to make them feel inadequate and make them think that their counterparts in their race don't want them. That's not the facts. That's not the facts at all.
Let's look at it this way, right? We're going to find plenty black men who love black women. Plenty, right?
Exactly.
But it's now when you go ratio, pound for pound, meaning that when you look in different groups, which group is dating out at a high ratio? At that level, from the man standpoint, it's black men, whether you're in America, Canada, England, Brazil.
Okay,
the
but
Caribbean.
we just
Yeah,
spoke
but don't
about
you
no,
think-
that's not true. Because we just
Go
spoke
ahead.
about the black men, the white men going to Thailand, and that Thailand's not the only place where they go and get mail order brides, or they're looking for their passport love or whatever, passport bros. It's everywhere.
Yes, but still, that ratio is still greater from black
Yeah,
men.
but it's
I
We're
agree with
a
you.
small
Also,
minority.
It's less than 2%
another reason
of the
is
population, though.
But black people
And
make
the
up
majority
3%
of
the
women in this
population.
country are going to be white.
White, yes,
so
that
that's
makes
going to
sense.
be the bigger
Yeah, I
ball.
was gonna
And
say that,
secondly,
yeah.
Let's unpack that.
this group that we're calling black, because I'm going to bring it back to the question I wanted
You
to
said
ask
Caribbean,
everyone.
remember?
Caribbean, this group we're calling Caribbean, are mixed individuals.
Yeah.
Mixed anyway.
Okay, so that
You mixed anyway. From the get go, you had a coolie uncle, a coolie auntie. My granddad's Chinese. My granddad's part of the Sings
Bit of
or
Irish.
whatever.
Okay, I won't
My
talk about-
grandma's Irish. Yeah, we're not talking about that. But the fact is, we're talking about mixed people continuing to mix.
Yeah, so
Right?
so this is where we unpack, right? So like I said, the Afro-Caribbean community will have a history of admixture, and there might be mixed here, there, whatever. But generally, we know who is within the black community, who's not within the black community, right? So what we're tracking.
Well, no, because you couldn't. No, because
Okay.
all of my friends growing up from the Caribbean community would be very proud and vocal about the admixture in their family.
Yeah,
right?
so I'll push against that.
Right, and then. And it's like a thing of pride. Yeah, my granddad or my where is Asian or my where on this side they're Chinese. So it's
sorry.
there been noted and
This is important because
yeah, but-
it's there been
shocking
noted
statement?
and celebrated
I'm Caribbean,
in our
innit?
youth, right?
But I'm
Can
Caribbean,
we
right?
answer
And I'm
the
telling
question
you.
if you're looking at it
let me
like,
tell you.
remember you asked the question, Jedi. You asked what's the percentage of black men. But if you're saying, everyone's mixed, then the question is invalid then, because there is no black men.
I'm
By what you're saying.
basically coming to that realization that we're talking about somebody that has a Chinese grandmother or a Chinese grandfather, and now we're saying he's a black man and he's being mixed. And let me get back to the original thing that got us all here in the beginning.
Yeah.
And let me ask each and every one of you. Is somebody of mixed heritage a black person? Yeah? Is somebody with maybe, for instance, let's say we got Uncle Hector and Jupiter here. They have children. You got what? You got three?
We got 2.
You got 2 kids.
Okay.
Are they black?
No, I would call them mixed race. And let me explain something very quickly now, yeah? If I was to say that you two's children are black or white, yeah, I would feel like, if I'm saying they're white, I'd feel like I'm being disrespectful to Uncle Hector. And if I say that they're white, did I say that?
Yeah.
No, black, then I'm being disrespectful to you, because what does that mean that you didn't make them? One of you didn't, do you understand? And I just don't understand why, they can identify as black. Anyone can identify as what they want, and that's them. But it's just like, this is going to sound shocking,
I know she's
Shocking
gearing up
statement,
for her own shock. Let's go.
If you say something bad about your own mother, yeah, you're allowed to say something bad about your own mother, yeah. You know that your mum talk and all that stuff, yeah? If you say it, yeah, people will be shocked, but you're allowed to. Now, if I come and say something bad about your mother, you know, if you say, oh, my mum can't cook, you get me? You're saying your mum can't. If I come and say, oh, your mum can't cook, that's slapping different, you know? Yeah. So a person can say, oh, I'm black. That's them. They're saying it about themselves. Do you get what I mean? They're not offending. If they're offending their mum or their dad, that's on them. Let them offend their mum or dad. They'll come and tell you, oh, you're black. You get me? Your mum don't exist. What kind of foolishness is that?
So
okay, wait. I'm gonna come to you, Dupes. In a nutshell,
yeah,
the mixed heritage child, black or white, in a nutshell for you.
They are in the black community. Thus meaning they can practice the things that black people do, and they can be part of any solution we do.
Are they, in your opinion, from the outside, are they part of the white community?
No, well, there's a white representation here. They can tell me, but from as far as I remember, from when the race strategy came around, and when white supremacy is full in effect, they're not allowed to, because when a white person historically has a child with a black person, they lose whiteness, they lose their privileges. That was how white supremacy worked, right? And remember, shocking, black people are collectively inadequate, right? So now we're trying to unite, because there's no value in being black. There's no value like in a Yoruba man thinking of a Zulu man as black. They have their own traditions, right? But when white supremacy came in and dominated the entire world, there's now a value. Because now, in order for you to recover from this great catastrophe, you need to be organized. But because we're collectively inadequate, we won't do it. So when I'm talking about black men,
collectively inadequate in organization.
Exactly, of course, black people. So right now, white people can have wars against each other, but they know they're white. Yeah, they know. Okay, they know how to carve up Africa perfectly, even though they're warring. Black people go like, no, but there's this man, he's part this, he's part that. Can a mixed race be that?
I hate what you do. You're a victim washing black people. Stop it.
This is good. So this is very important. What you do is very important. I thank you for it, right? And here's how it works, right? Here's how it works. I'm part of the black community, and I'm recognizing that we are collectively inadequate, right? That means that you are...
Yeah, but I don't agree with that.
That's fine, because that might be a strategy. But what I'm saying is, now...
It might be a strategy,
it might be,
it's
I don't
an
know,
observation.
Because, no, but let me explain, because if I explain, you will know better, right? It's like this. I've recognized that we're at the bottom, and every time I have a conversation, we're all agreeing that we're at the bottom, and there's something's wrong, and there's a history of being at the bottom. So, you know what? How people usually get from the bottom is they organize, get to the top. But when you organize, you have to recognize where you're at. So, you know what? We're at the bottom, and here's how we get to the top, right? You know, we have these ideologies, but then when we do that, I don't think you're at the. I think you're just saying horrible things about yourself. Just carry on doing what you did prior. You making that observation. But that means we're going to remain at the bottom. So what I'm saying is, this is what we call.
No, I think you're the one holding them down.
Good. Let them know why, because that's very important. But remember what I'm saying. The double dilemma. Black people, right? We are despised and disorganized, right? And as long as we're despised and disorganized, every time.
Now you're talking schizophrenic. Listen, you
important.
can't sit there and say, right, we're the best people for promoting the movie industry, for the music industry. Yeah. White people want to feed into that vibe we've got, our culture.
Who says that?
And everything else.
I said this.
No, you did say about the movie industry. We're the best people for selling it, you said. And then she agreed and went on, right?
Go ahead.
So you can't say that. Which actually, by the way, I would say is actually, there's a little bit of truth in that.
I don't remember saying that.
White people do actually love black culture, learning about black culture. But British people, for example, love to understand everybody's culture. It's fascinating to them, right?
Dupes, that's your camera there, you know. We want to make sure that we get your lovely front profile. So if you could just shift a bit for us. Yeah, just a little bit.
So when you're doing all this stuff, right, and you're telling these people that they're collectively inadequate, right? You're giving them no motivation. You're making them believe that they have to hold on to this victim card and keep going on about their victimhood, right? And it pushes them down. And you are actually enabling all these white handlers that we see within Black Lives Matter and everything else. You don't need to be doing that to them.
Thank you. Shall I respond?
Yeah.
Right. So what it is so you're saying that I'm pushing people down, right? When you use the term collectively, that means working as a team. Individually, look what Jada's doing. Individually, him and his crew, they're building stuff. Very intelligent brother. Sister's doing the same. I'm doing the same, right? But now trying to get a gang of us to come in to make him the #1 show in the UK. Gonna have a bit of trouble. Yeah. Facts. So what I'm saying. So I'm individually. I think I would never say individually black people are the best, because that's the word. It's not for me to say, because that would cause anxiety and a 2-hour debate. I'm saying that when it comes to working as a team, we're at the bottom. Yeah, we like Europeans, yourself. are
agree.
better
I agree.
at working together. You're better at looking past you maybe your French or English, like, yeah, I hate you French or English, but there's black people, there's Africa, well, you take that part, take the part, makes sense, whatever, right? You're very good at that, right? You're very good at coming together
I
despite
think
differences.
within the white community, you can find people that are a counterpart to every single person that you find in the black
Of
community.
course, but collectively,
right?
overall.
Right? No, but even collectively, a lot of the time, people will not be motivated unless they can see a pathway out for them or laterally think where the pathway is going to lead them,
I'm giving
right?
it to them. This is what I'm giving them.
And some people won't give up their time unless they're getting paid, and that's just the truth of it. We live in a very commercial world, especially in Britain, where we're materialistic and everything else. So when you're working class, whether you're black or you're white, to get them to actually want to actively work together to see a bigger goal that could take 2 years to fruition, and only one person might benefit a bit more than the others. The greedy eye kicks in, and that is working class people.
But can I just say, like, I think subconsciously, I do hear what you're saying, Dukes. I do, but I think there's a bit of psychology involved. Now, whether it's nature or nurture, that's another 2-hour debate, as you say, yeah? But what I do know is, when you go to a boxing match, and a white boxer and a black boxer jumps in that ring, majority of us subconsciously want the one that represents us in some kind of way to win, right? Like, I only speak for myself. I don't like seeing white boxers beat up black boxers. Two men, I don't like it. You get me? So if I'm gonna, I play this game with my kids and that, like, Rob, something comes on where there's a competition and I'm just like, yeah, I'm choosing him. Yeah, that's my guy. That's me. Like, we just do that, just like to see who wins. But I know subconsciously, I always go for what kind of represents me, and I think
that you're right. That would be the majority, but I wouldn't.
So then, if we put that into
group.
like, say, a business kind of place, or a shopping centre, and we got a white shop and a black shop.
Yeah.
Me knowing that I've worked in retail, I've had business, I've done all of these things. I've worked in marketplaces, and I can see that there's a subconscious choosing of your own. You may have to interject. You may have to be like, "Oh, you right, love?" Let her know. Oh, right, okay. He doesn't sound like what I thought he would. You're right. Yeah, come and look at this. Oh, this would be beautiful for you. So I've got to work extra hard to get you to see that. Consider me as a choice. Otherwise, subconsciously, she would just come over, look at me, and then probably just drift off.
Yeah, but Jedi, don't you think that in a lot of cases it's because, and this might be just an observation that's not fair, right? But I'm going to say it anyway, I'm not trying to offend anyone. The fact of the matter is, don't you think that sometimes people that want to go into business within the black community like to cut corners, right? So instead of just going into the shop next door, watching how they're deploying the staff or how it's laid out, or asking questions, say, "Oh, I've noticed that you always tend to put this in the window over there. Is there a specific reason why you lay it out that way? Why do you market that stuff there at the till? Why don't you move it around?" They don't think about any of that. They just go, "Oh, you know what we'll do? We won't worry about shelving. We'll get a load of crates and we'll just box them up there." Right?
Okay, yeah,
right?
And you're right.
Aesthetics
I know what you mean.
is something that sells, whether people believe that or not. If something looks cleaner, tidier, order.
There's some truth to that.
You know,
being a Nigerian man growing up in Peckham, I know what the Nigerian shops look like compared to Woolworths or whatever. I get it.
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't that just trying to give? That's what I was gonna say. Isn't that trying to give a taste of home?
Yeah, but does it work in the high street, and is it going to yield the results that you want? It could go.
Is it collectively adequate?
Is it collectively adequate
to behave that way? So what you said that black people are not collectively adequate, but you just gave a collective concept of black people. What might be true, might not be true. That sounds inadequate, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll concede on that point.
Remember,
yeah.
all I'm here to do is to demonstrate the double dilemma that black people are despised and disorganized, and to get out of it, you practice a lifestyle called black burning.
Yeah, so in that area, I would concede on that.
No, in every area.
Yeah.
Like, what I'm saying is, in all areas of people activity, we are collectively inadequate, right? And that's because, and what Jedi, even as the host, have to bring up, when he said the statement, do I see Chinese, this mix and black, this is part of the inadequacy, right? Where it's like, I'm being very clear. Black people is a racial category that was created by the white supremacists, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's what it is. And in order for that category to get out, you cannot ignore it.
In America, it wasn't created here.
White supremacy is a global phenomenon, yeah? Your ancestors were very good at that. Exceptional.
It was created in America during slavery.
No,
you know that, and I know that. And this is what annoys me as well. Let me bring this up, actually.
Okay.
This is what annoys me in Britain. that we tend to have a lot of British bashing, a lot of English bashing, right? Because the Scottish and the Welsh and the Irish are sometimes seen as lesser than, right? The English in other people's minds, not necessarily the English people, right? So. And they always try to pile on like we're the biggest colonialist and we did all of this. When France, Germany, you know, all of the others...
None of them had empires like Britain, though.
Yeah, but
So
that's because they were organised and they knew how to build things up,
Don't
and they had
don't
it
fall into
beforehand.
his
They had a foundation to
You're
build
right. No, I
on.
agree with you. What you're saying is correct.
You know what? He's like, yes, this is what I'm saying. They were organised in something that our folks weren't as good at, or weren't as
Inadequate.
inadequate,
You see?
basically.
So, but
I see
they all
what's
fall
going on.
under the white umbrella, and they all. So, for example, you see that in America, unfortunately, something might be happening to the farmers in South Africa, and there's a place for them.
The racism out there to white people is disgusting.
Of course, yes. Very racist to white
I
people,
mean,
of
the redressing the inadequate, the disadvantages of the black people out there, hasn't worked out well for the white people out there, is it?
No, they still own.
And if I was a white person,
They're getting reparations,
right, which I am.
They're
If I
seeking
was
asylum.
if I was a white person, which I am, right, I would look at that and say, look, this is where it could go if we're not careful in this country.
So usually when I speak on this platform, people say a lot of things, and I just let it go. And I'm going to, but what I wanted to highlight is, you know, you're talking about the white South Africans in South Africa who are a very small percentage of that population.
yeah, but it looks like demographic-wise we will be.
Of course, but what I'm saying is they own the majority of the resources in that land, and historically went there to do that, and they divided that land, right? And what I'm saying is,
Well, no, they fought the Dutch. The Dutch
well-
went there to do it. They fought the Dutch for it.
Who fought the Dutch? The white people there.
The British
yeah,
went there.
Yeah. So to own, so to have a white leader, or whether they're Dutch or English, and the white Afrikaans still identify through British and Dutch. They still see them. They still see
Yeah, but
themselves
if
as
there's
one people.
if we're going to have people that are born in Britain, I know Jedi, your present company excluded because you say you're not British, right?
Yeah.
I think you are. You say you're not, right?
Yeah, I mean, depending what accent you have when you're asking me where I'm from, if you say, where are you from? Where are you from? I say, I'm from Britain. But you get me? Another person asked me, I say I'm Nigerian. I got arrested in Nigeria. And they said, where are you from? And I said, London. And you know what man said? You idiots. Instead of you to say, I'm from Nigeria by way of London. Your queen can't save you here. That's what he told me. Your queen can't. So it was like, you got to pick and choose. Unfortunately, you know, I hear where you're coming from, but there's no way I can claim
yeah,
British.
but the point that I'm making is,
No
right,
way.
if the white people in Britain are quite happy to have black people claim to be black British, then I don't understand what the problem is having white Afrikaans if they've got heritage there that's not just rocking up yesterday, if you know what I mean.
But what I would say is, it's a difference in how these two groups even got there. So one group has got there by way of colonial efforts and basically invasion, and the others have come over as migrants.
No,
as-
both
as-
are
Can
the
I
same.
ask, are they
Both are the
really?
same.
Are they really happy
Why are they
to?
the same? Why are they the same?
Sorry.
Let me.
Yeah, go
I'll
on.
say that sisters next. Quickly.
Can you answer that for me, Maverick? 'Cause
Here's why it's both
let
the
him
same.
know to stop doing that, please.
The reason why we are in Great Britain is because of the colonization past, right? As in, like, they've conquered...
Not all of you are,
I'll explain. Because they've conquered all these places, when England needed help, they could reach out to the colonies to bring it to help build up the country. So that is still from a colonization standpoint, as in, like, we're going through trouble, now we want black people. Like, Caribbeans came in the truck. There you go. We came in the truckloads, not to because...
Listen, don't kid yourself. We've got loads of them sneaking across from France right now.
Who's them?
Loads of black people coming across from France right now.
Why are you telling me this?
Well, because you're sitting there saying that they've only come from colonisation. No, they're not. These people are making a choice to come there through even now.
Are they British?
What do you mean? No, they're not.
You just spent your time trying to make him say he's British, but are they British?
No.
So we're talking about
The
how...
difference is, right,
But
that if you're born on this soil or you've been adopted and you're actually a citizen, then you're considered British.
It's not true.
Well-
No, stop.
well,
it's not true.
I mean, I don't
It's
get
not
to name
true.
things, but
But it's not true though.
Okay,
Because
when we say
the
considered,
reason why,
by
because
who?
reason why
Legally?
because there's people that come up. We've heard there's people that was born here and all of this stuff, and because their parents didn't have the passport or anything and are over here, they got sent back to a country that they don't even know of or anything like that. Like, so it's I'm
There
not.
was an Asian lady who was.
Yeah, but rightly so. Why are they sneaking in?
No, I'm not saying they.
Opportunities,
Like, you say, like, if you was black, yeah.
But yeah,
That's shocking.
shocking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Raven rejected that instantly. Hypothetical or not, it was like, no.
Okay.
No.
But you see, like, you had children, yeah, and they were born here, but you wasn't born here. Do you know that they were sending children back to where you came from? You came here and your children were born here, like, and they were sending them back. There's stories of that. But let me, while you're thinking on that,
With the mother or not the mother?
Without the mother.
So how was the mother allowed to
I don't
stay?
even know what happened with the mother, actually. I just know they were sending
I've
them
seen
back.
I've seen some cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what,
Can I?
go on.
Because they were old, and there's a story out there anyway. But anyway, what was I going to say? Are they happy to call us Black British, or are they just trying to make us feel like they're happy to call us Black British? Because
So I would say that the majority of British people are very tolerant. Actually,
I agree with
and
you.
and
I
I
agree
think
with
that's
you.
why we've got the conflicts that we've got with identity politics that's now took us backwards, right? He would probably disagree with that, and I would say that most white people were quite happy to have Black British as long as they embrace Britishness.
I don't know
Right.
about that.
So just to be more clear, whether you're Black British or you say you're English or all this kind of stuff, I'm talking about Black people. So you can be a British citizen with a passport and say you're British and be a Black person. What I'm pushing for is for those people to work with other those people to form solutions, because those people are collectively inadequate. That's what it is. Sounds shocking, but it's actually what I'm saying is correct or not.
To me, as a
and this
white
whole conversation
person,
demonstrates that. Go ahead.
To me, but what it sounds like when you talk
Yes.
is that you use that mask of pretending that you want to uplift Black people. And there's probably a part of you that does, right?
Interesting.
But you use that arch to actually push your underlying agenda, which is to depress white people.
Oh, this is very important. So remember, unfortunately, this is why I always tell Black people, we're not going to listen. As a strategy, don't mention non-Black people when you do Black things, because once their name is mentioned, it's like a spell. They'll come in and then they'll say that you're not trying to help Black people, you're trying to destroy us. That's an interesting thing to like.
So basically, being pro-black is anti-white.
Yeah, all that kind of
in
stuff.
a
Yeah,
nutshell.
yeah.
Not always.
And that's why.
But in a lot of ways
That's
when
why I
he
say,
speaks,
watch
yes.
this. This is important. Thank you again. Black people are collectively inadequate. Why is that? Because now, as a collectively inadequate people, how can I think we're better or trying by anyone? Right? There is no rule that I've pushed that says harm or hinder.
Okay, so
white
let me
people.
give you an example, right? There was this thing called Pound Day, right? You're
Black
both,
Pound Day.
Wonderful
right,
idea.
you're both
10 points.
you're
10
all
points
aware
for
of
that.
it, right?
Very good.
And I went
Sorry,
on
just
to
quickly, just stick that point. How are we for Jupiter's angle? Because she's insisting on
Looking at me.
on swiveling. Are we all right capturing her on the camera? Yeah. Cool.
There's no good
Sorry.
side. Maybe it's a good side. Go ahead.
right. No, so you had this Black Pound Day, and at first I couldn't understand it, right? Because to me it was very segregational, and I went on to Jedi's and another show, and I had conversations, and I finally realised that actually what they wanted to do was promote Black business, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, so why aren't you promoting Black business? Why have you got to make it about exclusively Black? Because that's not promoting it.
I never saw Black Pound Day say anything about exclusively Black. I think they just focused. For instance, I took my children to a Japanese expo at the Kensington Olympia, right? Massive, thousands of people there. Japanese expo. I didn't see one person saying, "Hold on, so where's the Ghanaian expo?"
I was gonna, yeah.
You understand?
Remember, Black people collectively have no friends, and what I'm saying is, when you come with that, you're married to a Black man, but when you come into our circles and stuff, I know in your heart, I'd like to think that you mean very well, but by osmosis of how you've raised up and how you perceive the world, you will cause tremendous damage, and the way you speak now is demonstrating that.
No, so that might you might believe that, and that's fine. I'm not going to sit here because I can't tell you how to perceive me, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So
I can only go by what you've said.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's
But that's not my intention at all.
Oh no, I don't believe it is.
And also the fact is that I can see sometimes that all right, so you say that black people collectively are inadequate. That would include you. I don't think that you are definitely thinking laterally, because if you put out a message and the way that you promote the black businesses sounds like you're promoting segregation and division, which is how it's coming across whether you meant it or not to the white community, you are reducing immediately a much larger footfall for your store. Because myself, right, let me give myself...
I would agree in that as well.
Let me give you an example, right? Because I've got mixed kids, right? I go into black shops anyway for their hair care, for their skin products, even for my husband, right?
So you're picking up the DAX, yeah? You're the one grabbing the DAX.
Right, so when I heard these people saying, oh, these shops, and they were sounding like it was exclusively for the black people, you know, and we're going to have a vibrant day just for us. I was like, fuck you. Do you know what? Fuck you. I ain't bothering no more with the local shop.
Why though? Because if it was saying it's exclusive for the blacks and you have a black husband, you think, you know what? This is where I'm going to get stuff for him. For instance,
because you have people like him on the sideline.
If I had a Korean partner and there was a shop that popped up in my area, Korean Day, all Korean businesses are in this fair, blah, blah, blah. I might you know what, I'm going to go there to get something for my Korean partner because it's specialising in something for her.
Yeah.
I don't need to feel excluded, like, what, you don't want Nigerians in there? I think this is part of what Raven has spoken about over the years in terms of you feel like to be pro-us is to be anti-you, or that feeling of exclusion.
That's how it come across, Jedi. And then when you've got somebody like him that constantly wants to tell you you're not being helpful, you're not being meaningful. I'm not trying to be rude. I mean that might be how it comes across, and you might be making valid points.
I think it's about
right. But when you've constantly got people doing that, you start to get defensive, right? And I think especially when you come from a mindset of somebody like me, which again is why I came down to speak at the corner. I got defensive. Why are you doing it just for black kids when the whole community is suffering at working class level? Right?
Yeah. Can I ask on that? Sorry. If it was a white... There's two questions. Let me just ask the first question, which is nothing. Because we did touch on your mixed race kids, and if I see them as black or anything. Do you see your mixed race kids as black?
No,
only?
I see them as mixed race.
Okay, thank you. I see them as
mixed race English/British, because English people are not allowed to say they're English no more. Okay. You know, they're supposed to just say British. All the rest of them can say that they're Scottish, Welsh and Irish, but us English, no, it's got to go.
So am I correct in saying it would offend you if I just say, oh no, your kids are black?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it depends. It depends, right? And this is where the nuance comes in, right? And I understand it. If they were celebrating something that is traditionally black, and they said your kids are black, they're being included. Well, obviously, I'd want them included because it's their culture.
They'll be included. I wasn't talking about inclusive. I think they're part of the black community.
Right.
But we have to understand.
It's about how people self-identify and whatever. And it's very important as a mother of these children. I feel like there's no way we can deny how a mother identifies her children. Even if we got our own views, it's interesting to hear how a mother sees it.
But Jedi, if my children were born by me in Nigeria, I would call them mixed race Nigerian.
Listen.
Because
But listen, when you're two members of the black community, when you see an Asian appreciation or Asian awareness of it, how do you feel threatened in any kind of way?
No. That's what I was gonna ask. That was my second question. No. You know, I don't
see them.
You know, when you said why just for the blacks. Why that question? Because if it was a white community, I wouldn't say. And I've seen lots of,
What do you mean by an Asian appreciation?
So I remember one woman rang me and she was asking for some help for something. But I said, where? She's I'm at the Asian sport something where there's because
we got BBC Asia.
Yeah, all this kind of stuff.
We got BBC Asia
in
the
but you've
UK.
got BBC Nigeria, Pidgin English.
But not in the UK. It's in Nigeria.
No, in UK.
I'm particularly representing collective bodies of groups. So Asia is a collective body, and black is synonymous with Africa, whatever it might be, right? So
yes, to answer your question, I didn't know of any, but if I knew of something that was exclusively Asian, yes, I'd be offended.
Right. So and that's what it is. It's like if you are something, you can point something for what you are.
I think that may be something that's cultural British wise, right? And I'm gonna explain this. Not because we're white, but because of the mindset of a British person. We believe that the land we live on, no one should be able to tell you can't walk on any street unless it's a private road.
So just
Right?
so you know, Black
why
Pound
should
Day-
there be little seclusions for Asians over here,
But
Chinese
no one,
over there?
even if they are little
I
seclusions,
get that,
nobody.
you know.
No, wait, no. Even if they are seclusions, no one says you can't go there. For instance, somewhere in this area, there's probably like, let's say, a traveller's site. Yeah, somewhere around there, probably. Yeah, I'll just use them as an example. Now, the travellers identify as being Irish.
Right.
Yeah, and I think majority of the people that live in the same area with them respect the fact that
Yeah,
they
but
have a community,
did
and
that
most
have-
of us don't really want to just walk around there,
No,
but we respect
did
their
I
community.
understand what you're
But
saying?
it exists.
Yeah.
There's no black area like the traveller area. There's no Asian area like the traveller area where
Well, I'd beg to
white,
differ.
black,
Have you
and,
lived in
and Chinese
Birmingham?
feel.
I mean, have you seen Birmingham and areas like that recently? I beg to differ.
I'm not gonna lie, I had an experience today, and I felt like I was on trading day, and I was Denzel, like I was explaining at the end of the show, and they were gonna get me. And I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
swear down, I did.
Right.
I explained, and I called. You get me? I called Maverick.
Yeah,
Help
I said,
me.
help me. I'm surrounded by
I'm reversing
travellers.
out of this thing, and everyone's coming out of their doors like, "What is
Yeah,
here?"
policing their
And
community
I'm
as you
thinking,
should,
and
saying,
I've
"Who's
never
this woman?"
This is a first for me. I'm 40 years old. I've gone through life experiencing this, but I was thinking, Denzel, yeah,
So that was
I know.
so.
I
So
feel
just
your
to
pain.
break it down,
So I did actually experience that just
that is
on the way here.
What you're saying
literally.
is you experienced traveling freely in the UK. Just today, you ended up in a cul-de-sac, let's say, that was a travellers community, and immediately they all came out, and she felt a bit like, "Ooh, what's going on?" And they weren't very friendly to her.
Yeah, but they
in her
do that.
impression.
They do that all over the country.
this
and
is my point.
Yes, and I think that that's wrong.
I
think that
don't. I
everyone
just think
should-
it's community.
I think that everybody should be, to a degree. But he's saying, but that's to do with keeping your community safe
Yeah.
and where you
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
But he's talking about society. He's talking about like.
Let's unpack it. So Black Pound Day is black-owned businesses that they realise that because there's been a historical challenge in actually forming business or getting them going, they're going to put a space where you can go and buy from black-owned vendors and so forth like that, right? And the culture of let's try to shop more there. You're welcome to do that. Do you not want to do that? Is that something you're interested in?
Well, if they sell stuff that I'm gonna need to buy,
So, why would there be hostility towards that concept of people who are African and Caribbean descent coming together?
But I already do that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we have recognised that we are inadequate in these areas. So part of the initiative.
No, once that's what I'm saying, Raven. Once I spoke to Jedi and there was another host of another show. Of
course.
Once they explained it to me, I understood that that's what they were intending to do, and I didn't have a problem with it, right? But the thing is, what I'm saying is, it shouldn't have needed an elaborate explanation. It should have, if it was for promotion, it should have said what it meant on the tin, kind of thing.
They did Black Pound Day. That's what it meant.
Yeah, I think what should have happened is the fact that these businesses are in the UK, European, white, English businesses should have already noticed that their black counterparts may be struggling in getting the same level of promotion or visibility that the bigger corporations or those that are more organised, and maybe made the offer to find ways to assist that. So what happened was the black community essentially had to find its own band-aid or look for its own solutions to try and promote that, and that's why. So if the UK government came up with a black business awareness day, there would have been no need for Swiss and them lot to do Black Pound Day. But they're not going to get that.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't have done it for yourself. And I would also point out that to make something sustainable, you've actually got to really feel it and really promote it and be part of it. Not do it because somebody else is coming along saying, actually, I've seen a little business angle here. Do you want to come along for the ride and we'll both make a bit of money? It should have been them going and saying, listen, I've got a business idea. Can we set up an arrangement to go to speak? I've got spreadsheets, I've got slides, I've got everything. When are you free for me to come and promote this? I'd like, because that's what white people do.
I think there's too much policing on how black people are doing their thing. For me, because my stepdad of 28 years is white Irish. and I will go and explain this situation that I went into, and he will just be like, oh, do you get what I mean? All sorts of things. But then, you know what, like you saying you go to the hair shops and all that stuff. If my mum's sick, my stepdad will go to the hair shops and all of that stuff. But if there's a black community thing going on, he's not trying to, he completely, you lot go and he's not trying to insert himself and control what they're doing. Like, I'm sorry, in Alperton, the whole of the street is Asian and all of that stuff. Yeah, we recognize these are Asian shops. If we want to shop in it, we can, and all of stuff. I think that, and we don't, they call it, and there's Chinatown and all that stuff. We're not complaining about, there's Chinatown. Why is it any time
no one complains about
do you
Chinatown.
understand?
Nobody complains about Chinatown.
You're not complaining that why is there a place called Chinatown?
No one complains.
It just sounds mad. Anytime we say, there's a black event, why is it for black people?
Yeah.
Why
So
not?
after you saying this, so can you see
Right.
why people like me come the way I come, and I'm dedicated to black-based solutions, right? And that's where we have to go back to the man thing, where we have to get our men and women really synchronized. And unfortunately, yes, black men, especially Caribbean, there is something going on where we are dating out tremendously, and that is going to hinder black business, generational wealth, and also self-esteem. And what I'm saying is, I want to challenge black men across the board to come and say I'm wrong in it, because I'm just going to pull out the facts and do my whole backflip stuff, right? But what I'm saying is, there's some fundamentals, and that's black economics, black health, and black family.
I think that is, from an outside point of view, a Caribbean thing, and I don't think that goes right across the board.
I agree in ratio.
So what we separating Caribbean from African?
So here's
is that what we're doing in terms of this behaviour? Because I disagree with that.
But we can track it. Because
I disagree with
no,
that.
Here's what I say. Caribbeans have been in mass in this country longer, right? And and what's happened is Nigerians or people from Ghana, whatever, are coming over with a more cultural network going on that they've really got something in formally, right? So it's a very different thing. Like, we've been here longer, and now we're more integrated in our mindset of being British and this kind of stuff, right? We've been here since. I don't know,
man. You know, when a Nigerian decides he's embracing England, there's not many Caribbeans on that level. I feel like we, being from a colonial past ourselves, we kind of already have got some of those traits.
I can't disagree with you,
right?
But I'm saying we've been here since since there was no planes, we're using ships, yeah. So I'm saying that's a long time, and when we first came, there was that black pride and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. But as time is going by, where integration is there's something we call white wealth ideology, right? Yeah. And that is where a white man has told you something that's for everyone, but actually it works out better for them. Yeah. So love has no color works out better for white people.
That's just the suspicious nature of a descendants of somebody from slavery. The fact of the matter is.
Sorry, explain that for the people. sounds very interesting. What was that?
Right, so I think that there are people that have been descendants of somebody that was enslaved.
That's right. Yes.
That are very suspicious, and that suspiciousness of white people has been passed on, right?
I wish it was passed on more. So
right,
gosh,
whereas if you were to look at people, I can speak for Nigeria a little bit, not totally, because I'm not Nigerian. But I have been there, and when you go there, you will see that there is a system, but it's totally different to the one that's over here, right? And at first you look and you think it's chaos, right?
I guess so.
Right? Yeah. No, you do.
Oh, you would, wouldn't you?
Right? But you're just being sarcastic. It's being silly. Yeah. Right? But once you actually start to understand it, it works, and it works very well. And there's a lot of entrepreneurship. There's a lot of other stuff, and this is what, and they're all into education, especially down south. And this is what pushes them to want more and to aspire to more, right? So when they come to Britain, that's what they're pushing for. They want to use their education. They just want to aspire to more and everything else. I find though that with Black British, which is predominantly Caribbean because they're the Windrush people that came over, right? It's not just because the culture was bigger, so it had more of an influence, right? I find that what's happened is, in a way you're right, that they have amalgamated a little bit, and so all of the working class are kept down, white working class and black working class, right? Even Asian working class, and they're all kept at the bottom. But because of your suspicion and trust, you actually think that it's down to all white people, and that all white people have got this sort of colonial mindset, and that all white people are going to rip you off, and you can't trust a white person.
No, I trust white people to be white people. Well, what I'm saying is what I'm saying is this, right? what I'm pushing forward should be, regardless if white people are the best or the worst. I'm saying that we're a community, black people in general are a conquered community, meaning that we value.
How can you say that when black people are the majority of the people in the world, or ethnic minorities?
Yeah, so I say again that black people are conquered people, and what it is
Yeah, but I don't know how you can say that. Yeah, go on.
And what it is because of enslavement and colonization.
Yeah.
We have become like a subservient people group.
No, I think that's an excuse.
No, pretty much. But
I think
we don't recognise it.
And I think it benefits people like you
to
to make other black people feel that way, so that they don't get motivated. They look to you as their leader, right? And you get to put feathers on your shoulder and say, oh, look at me.
Follow me, come this way, and I can raise you up.
Both of us point, you know that. But sitting here as a black person, it doesn't make me. It makes me feel like, oh, this is what we need to fix.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me feel, but I get what you're saying, because there are people that they're gonna think, oh my god, that use it as an excuse, and
they are people.
I'm not switching sides yet.
No, but you're right.
But one thing that you lot said, and I was gonna say
go ahead.
from the last show with the is that black people can't be racist.
This is gonna be shocking.
Yeah, shocking.
I knew the shocking.
Black people can't be racist. I really disagree with that.
Shall I unpack what I mean? You can say yourself.
Because I know that you're gonna come from a world of knowledge, and you know this is where it stems from. And back in slavery, you can understand why that statement was there. But I think that I'm a modern woman. Don't come for me. What's it called? Red pill men.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
But I'm saying from today's standpoint,
Yes.
I think we need to do away with stuff like that, only because it kind of then makes people think like it takes away from the message that we're trying to, build up black people, because then it would just be like, oh, you can point the finger at us, but then because because
that's his weapon. That's the biggest weapon he's got, and he knows it. It is, and he knows it.
Because he's not the only one. Black people believe that. Black people believe that, and it comes from somewhere. I understand that.
Yes.
But the reason why I'm saying that's why I said I think we need to change. Come and be evolved.
I agree with you.
I agree.
But if a white person is walking down the road and a bunch of black people say, oh, there's that white and they mash him up, is that not? Are we saying that's not racism? That's so.
Let me explain.
It is.
If he wants to add that he can, I'll take away.
Yeah.
So what we say is racism is a race system, right? It's systematic, meaning that as in someone has power and they can affect a collective group's outcome without them doing nothing, right? Now, what you've described, what we describe is bigotry, as in like, I don't like her, she's European, I don't like her, she's black. So black people can practice what we say is bigotry, as in, but we wouldn't use the term racism, because racism we reserve for that higher institution cause.
But that's what's going on in South Africa right now.
Well, you should say that, because once again, we see that the sheer wealth is still in the white minority, isn't it? And
it's not. They're taking it off them. They're kicking them out of nothing.
Well, the thing is, you have to demonstrate that with examples, because so far.
And that's if they're alive. They've been killing them, raping them.
Well, this is what I'm saying is.
If we had the levels of the travesty, what's going on in South Africa, in Britain now.
Grape would be better, but I mean.
I'm trying to learn.
Yeah. Grape,
oh, sorry. I do apologise. He knows what I'm like. I've always forget. Right. The fact of the matter is that, if we had that going on right now, there would be outrage all over the place, right? And rightly so. Don't get me wrong. I'm not condoning. I don't want that happening here for anybody, But what I'm saying is that because people have sold this thing, and this is why I said that you know what you're doing.
Yes, thank you.
Right? No, you do know what you're doing in the weaponising. It doesn't mean you're right.
No.
Yeah, you know what you're doing,
well,
right?
Let them know what I'm doing,
because you weaponise race, right? And the reason he wants to hold on to power plus prejudice, right?
That's a concept.
Is because 9 times out of 10 there isn't as many. If you're living in Europe, there isn't as many black people at the top of the trees, so they can say, yeah, look, they're all being racist to us. They keep you down, this, that, and the other, and that's what you're doing.
Let me help you. From now on, black people can be racist. Go ahead.
Right, that's good.
Yeah.
Because they can.
Yeah.
And so can Asians.
Yeah, sure.
And so
But
can anybody.
now that we've done that, it's not going to stop me practicing black betterment. Like I
I'm
said,
not trying to stop you practicing betterment.
Well, what I'm saying, because
I'm just pointing out. Pointing out the reason why you do what you do, because it gives you a tool to keep people oppressed by pretending that you're their saviour.
Let the people know at home why you think people like me do what I do. Let them know, because that's important. Let them know why you think I do what I do.
Me?
Yes, let them know.
Well, personally, I can't speak for every other white person,
you,
but personally, I think that what you do to instill an anger in black people, to be resentful to white people, to promote themselves is part of it, right?
Okay.
But it's not just to stop at self-promotion. It's actually to get a kind of revenge politics. It's racism, and at the core of what you do is racism.
Can I, because obviously I'm the new one, you lot all know a bit more about each other than me. So is there something different that you do than what you're doing now?
And I'm glad you said it,
today.
because Joe will probably tell you, because he's known me for a long time. My demeanour and my delivery hasn't changed.
Very
Okay,
consistent.
okay.
Very, very consistent.
Because I don't get that there. I'm just gonna. I'm a bit baffled.
Remember,
We've
sister,
had a lot of
I've said
exchanges
that this
online.
discussion is a case study of why black people should stick together, right?
Because what I get from him is, is all about black people. I don't see him talking about, white people do this and all of that stuff. I think I might have done more of that, but it's making me feel, okay, this is where we're going wrong, and I'm about that. Do you know how?
But he's talking about black people in a white man's
solutions?
country, a majority white country. And this is what he doesn't want. He doesn't want to acknowledge when he talks what he's talking, because as far as he's concerned, his lateral vision, right? His lateral vision is eventually we're going to be at the top of the tree and everybody else is going to be at the bottom.
Okay,
and that is what goes on. That is exactly what is happening in South Africa, which is why I said to you, is something that that as I am a white person, I look at that and I think, this is the way it's going.
To solve South Africa, would it not be easier if the white people that have moved to South Africa invaded and had their set up apartheid, had that destroyed, and are now clinging on to land, if they just fucked off back to wherever they came from, would that not just be better? Because what are these white folks in South Africa holding on for?
Well, it's funny. It's funny that you say that, because Trump has offered them asylum, right?
Yeah.
And they're taking it.
That's great.
And now you've got black people complaining, right? That it's racist that the white people are taking the white people back.
I tell you what it is. It's black Americans or black folks in America, foundational black Americans, black descendants of slavery, whatever. They are saying, well, hold on, how they're going to now come and compete in our market for our resources that we're barely getting, right? So that's like a national issue in America, which we have the same issue in the UK.
Yeah, we do.
We don't want migrants coming in. We don't give a fuck who they are. Oh, send them back on their boats, right? So I guess that's for the Americans to decide whether they want these South Africans there. My opinion is that those that are unhappy with what's going on in South Africa should leave South Africa for the real South Africans, which are the
I think
black folks there.
if we're gonna talk about something, I'm not. You're not taking over your show.
No, do your thing.
But I feel like, when we go out to other countries and stuff like that, we haven't even resolved anything where we are, because what Jupiter said is he's talking about black people in a white man's country. So
I done the reverse, because that's white people in a black man's country. So what I'm saying is, but
in response to what she said, we can't do anything but talk about black people in a white man's country, because this is where we are. We can't do anything but, if you understand, we were brought here, and this is the thing, we were brought here. So now we're talking in your country, in the white man's country where we were brought. We're being told we shouldn't. So it kind of just feels kind of like
The lady did say that I am trying to galvanize black people to rule over white people.
Yes.
Eventually,
But what I've said is, white people are collectively in a superior position, and I would like black people to join the rest of the human family at equal position. I've said that all the time, right? It makes no point
but
for
if
me
you
to...
really
So you don't want black people to be more superior than white people?
No, what white people did to black people, I will never want to do to white people. That is absolutely horrible.
I think that's a common fear.
Well, that's good.
That seems to be a common fear when it comes to black liberation movements or black empowerment movements or black betterment movements, is that these guys are going to rise up and they're going to try and subjugate
when you can
others.
see living examples, you would think that.
But where's the living example?
In South Africa.
South Africa.
Okay,
Well,
over here.
And not just South Africa,
okay.
we also had it in Zimbabwe.
A lot of places that basically these people shouldn't be in. and the history of how they came there is very negative. Now, the history of how black people came to England is
but
not negative.
No one on the planet
It's actually positive.
today.
They were invited. Do you know what I mean? To come and fulfill
Not in all
essential.
cases. Not in all cases.
What you said was the majority of black English or black British came from the Windrush generation.
Yeah.
So I would say all of those that came from that Windrush generation and their add-ons did come in here for positivity, did come in for positive reasons. That's a fact. That's
Not
in
the
stone.
first ship,
Huh?
actually.
Well,
not the
how do
actual
you feel
Windrush.
when you?
Not the
'cause
Windrush?
You know, we got
No,
really.
not the very first ship, but after that they did, yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
So the very first ship,
Yeah.
right, was I can't remember what he was dropping off now, but there was a captain of a ship that went to the Caribbean islands, and to fill up spaces, he just put out money for anybody that wanted to go to England. They didn't necessarily have a right to go there. And people just took up
Could they get
the
back?
chance. They weren't asked to go there. But I will agree with you on this, Jedi, that they were part of the Commonwealth, and so really they should have had a right to freely go there without being asked. But yeah, so.
Can I just ask, because like we can speculate how different people think and everything, but you're here. You know, when you say like you want, like there's certain things that you don't understand and you don't like certain rhetorics that are being spilled and stuff like that. Yeah, what do you feel? Because I think it was Jedi. I don't know which one you said. Like, you know, white people are fearful that we're gonna rise up. Actually, it was you because I said the same time as you. Do you feel that, you know, when like you see like Black Pound Day, or you hear things like, you know, Black Lives Matter? Do you feel like threatened that, oh, this is gonna happen? Like they're gonna.
So I don't
congregate
feel
and-
threatened by black people. Otherwise, I wouldn't.
Not
be
by
very-
black people, but by
Otherwise I wouldn't-
the movement.
Otherwise, I would have been. No, because I think it'll fail. But I can understand. No, seriously. But I can understand.
Very
I
tiny
can
percentage.
understand why people would think that way, and that's why I say, you know, unless you're somebody that goes along with all this complete. See, I don't believe that our politicians should have took the knee. I think that was detrimental to white people in this country. I understand the reasoning behind it, but I think it was disgusting. I think it was symbolic of submission. I don't think that they should be dismissing people on the numbers of immigration that is coming into this country, because the cultural changes are happening too fast for people to be able to absorb the cultural shocks.
But are you not a part of the
Right?
cultural changes?
Yes, but that's organic. What I would say is happening by our governments is not organic.
Because we don't, like, for me, everyone might disagree with me, yeah? Is I'm quite funny in my brain, yeah? I just think that we don't own, we're not kings and queens, and even if we are kings and queens, we didn't make the earth and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and if there's room, you know, there's room, and if there's people that's harmed
But
and
there's
stuff.
not room.
But when you say statements like that, like, you know, what did you say again about the culture changes happening too quick
Yes,
or whatever?
yes.
But then, you know,
But that's not mainly from black people. If we're truthful, it's not coming from
across board. Across board.
Because
If you're
what's happened,
as a-
what historically happened with black people in this country, that they have integrated, they've kept hold of their own cultures within their own houses. But they
It's the brown lot. It's the brown lot. It's the Asians.
It's not even.
Lord
It's
Jesus.
not even all brown people, is it? Yeah, but it is. But there
the
is a
Asians, say it,
culture.
say it.
The
Because I get
religion.
That's what
confused.
she
I
said.
get confused because
It's the religious clashes.
if you're for integration, as you seem you are, you've got, you know, mixed kids and stuff. Like,
I think British culture should be dominant in Britain.
Are they okay? So, as long as it's your choice, but not from outside of your choice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As long as you're controlling it, then it's fine. As long as it's your decision to, you know.
Not me per se.
Yeah, no, not just you. I mean,
but
like-minded.
But
yeah.
yes, I think the majority of a country, every country should keep its own genre, right? Okay. And I would say the same for Nigeria. I would even that's why I can.
Same for South Africa.
Yeah, that's why I can understand his argument when he says, "Well, really, let them people go back." And I say, "Well, yeah, Trump's taken them back,
But
and now we've got people complaining."
How would your kids have existed if that mindset was, you know, what
Trump
you
hasn't
thought?
taken them back. They're not from America.
They're not from America. But listen.
Did you get
That's
what
how
I'm
white
saying?
supremacy works.
Because
Listen, unfortunately, we got a time constraint, which I really hate when, and I knew that it's going to be tough to get to where we wanted to get to in this conversation in a short space of time. Unfortunately, I'd love to invite you all back.
Okay.
I wouldn't call it a part 2, but I'd say a
welcome.
continuation, maybe even a series
Yeah.
on these type of conversations. It's been amazing. Thank you. I want you lot to kind of wrap up with your
Let me
final
wrap up,
thoughts
yeah,
each,
yeah.
and then I'm gonna have to call it. Time until the next time.
Let me jump in. So basically, every Friday 10 p.m. Black Bear and Broadcast. You can type that in YouTube. Constructive Black People. We come down. It's a very slow pace discussion, but we try to find solutions. Remember what I said? The double dilemma. We are despised and we're disorganized.
White folks, welcome, invited.
No. So
Jupes come down.
No. So
No?
anyone can come
Only
down.
as a test case.
Anyone,
Case study.
yeah, case study. You can listen. You can try to jump in. We won't kick you off. We'll use it as a case study because we're saying we're collectively inadequate. We're trying to recover. So if you try to come and take up space, then that is demonstrating of why we have no friends.
But the truth is, Raven, I wouldn't even want to.
It's not. I'm not in your mind.
No, I wouldn't even want to go along to one of those meetings.
No. It's online. It's on YouTube.
I know. I've seen.
Yeah,
this
you go
channel.
over there. You jump on.
I've been in his chat.
Of course. So, what I'm saying, so don't forget.
What is it again? Black
Bear and Broadcast. Come along. It's constructive. But the most important thing today is the double dilemma that we are despised and disorganized. And when you accept that, then we can work together. And also, with Pretty Go, black men have not recovered from being conquered by white men. And we have to have a show about how we can make black men make campaigns to demonstrate love for black women. There you go.
Love that.
I love that.
You want to say some final words?
Yeah, I think it's been really good. I'll come back.
Yeah.
I think that we just need to learn from each other. I think that there's a lot of projection, which is why we're not learning and we're not finding solutions. And in this, do you get what I mean? Like, I'm glad that not Raven, Jupiter was here because you can ask direct questions, and this is what it's about, because then you see where your mind frame is, you get to understand it. And I think that's what people need to do more of, instead of projecting what they think and how they feel, and just ask questions and try and understand somebody from their viewpoint.
Anyone looking for you, where they find you?
Emotional Transparency with Fire on all platforms actually, and my name's Emotional.
Okay, and you got anything coming out, any pods, anything of your own, any content that you want people to look out for? If you don't, it's fine.
No, you could just find clips of me on TikTok. I do, and I haven't updated my YouTube as yet, but you'll find me on lots of other platforms.
She's everywhere.
Yeah.
She's everywhere. Can't not see her. She's everywhere. Once you type her in once, she just pops up everywhere. So big her up. And Jupiter, thank you for coming through. What do you want to say?
I just want to make it clear that I don't speak for every white person, obviously, and I've made my sort of like judgments based on some stuff that is my own, and when it is, I do state my opinion, and other of it is what I've observed. So I'm not always talking from sort of like, I stand for all white people and every white person's going to agree with everything I say. No, I don't want people to take that away.
I genuinely think that your perspective is very valid and important for people to hear and to be able to engage with your perspectives. I do think that some of the speaking points that you make, a huge amount of other white people would agree with you, right? And then obviously it gets to a point where it's like, oh, but you're with a black man and you've got mixed kids, and then you've got a smaller demographic that would agree with you, because I think I've even seen you at loggerheads with other white folks. So you're the cat amongst the pigeons today. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like you've done your job really well, and you've expressed yourself. It's all been respectful and lovely.
It's been a pleasure.
Do you know what I mean? I was hoping for a bit more swearing and shouting at each other, but it's impossible with Raven. You know what I mean? Even if he is a racist, he's a very friendly racist, isn't he? So do you know what I mean? Do you think he's racist?
I don't think he's the kind of person... Right, so that's a complicated answer, because I don't think he's the kind of person that goes around hating on white people or other races, right? And normally when you say a racist, people will naturally assume it means you hate other races. But I do think he's racist in the respect of... He has to be. He has to be to bring people into just that only sort of like inclusive to your own, right? He has to be, because he has to other everybody else to make sure that he goes upwards. So yes, at the core of it, there is racial tenets.
Well, let me say this: if being this is the last because the hours ago, if being racist is wanted to help black people recover from white people and racism, then I hope to be the biggest racist the world will ever know.
You see?
That sounds nice though. Oh, sorry.
But she was like, what a lovely,
No, because he clearly is saying he's not a racist, but he's saying if that's
what
means,
you categorise
and it is for
but like I said,
all I know is
I don't
that's
believe.
going to be my clip. That's gonna.
Yeah, I don't believe is the kind of racist that goes out there and hates on others.
Yeah, it's not that type of racist.
No. And they're not the worst ones because every group has got their own biases.
Yeah.
All right, so we definitely have left room for us to, maybe come back and revisit it.
Heard that before.
I'm staying away from the term part 2 or whatever because I think each pod's going to be different, have different dynamics, and we're going to feel different. This is where it's ended. Thanks for everyone tuned in. Jedi Online. Catch me on all platforms. Jedi Online. Speakenomix. Look out for Koch and Flow.
And
Streaming once a week.
affiliated.
Yeah, Jupiter affiliated on YouTube. Transparency with Fire. Rat Raven on Black Betterment broadcast on YouTube and Black Betterment
broadcast on Instagram.
On Instagram as well. Yeah. Maverick Moses, Uncle Hector. You get me?
And you can actually put our links in your YouTube description if I
have the time.
If you have the time.
Next time you should let Hector have some say as well.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love that because they're not even ready for Hector. So we will make it happen. Anyway, thank you. Wait, before you get up, let me just say goodbye. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button and make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you leave a comment after watching this, please. It's very important for the engagement. Comment, and these lot will be reading the comments and be able to interact with you and check them on their respective platforms, man. Thank you so much. Boom.